St. Valentine's Day Massacre, Chicago, USA, February 14th, 1929. The location was the city of Chicago, and the year was 1929. It was at the height of the Prohibition, when it had become illegal to import, produce, or buy alcoholic beverages in the United States. The date was the morning of February 14th, Valentine's Day, a day for romantic gestures. Though the four men walking down North Clark Street hardly seemed to have got into the spirit of the occasion. They were grim-faced with a determined look. Two of them were uniformed police officers with revolvers drawn. The other two were in suits and ties, armed with Thompson submachine guns. Maybe these two were plainclothes detectives out fighting organized crime that was so rampant in Chicago at the time. The fact that they all had weapons drawn showed they meant business as they burst into the car garage at number 2122, a well-known hangout of the Moran's North Side Gang, the dominant Irish-American criminal organization. Then, just a few minutes later, there was a sound of rapid gunfire, and then all went quiet. About a minute later, the policemen emerged, with two prisoners with their hands up at gunpoint. So a successful raid capturing two gangsters after a short gunfight? Well, it was not all that it seems, for inside laid 7 men, each with multiple gunshot wounds. 6 were dead, and 1 would die a few hours later in hospital. It had been a very one-sided gun battle, as all 7 had not even had a chance to draw their weapons, having been caught totally by surprise. They had all been ordered to line up against the wall, guns taken away in arrest, and were then sprayed with machine gun fire in cold blood, even as they lay on the floor. 2 of the men were finished off with shotgun blasts. It is thought that the 2 men armed with the submachine guns fired a total of 70 rounds. 5 of the dead were members of Moran's gang, and the other 2 were associates, 1 an optician and 1 a mechanic. His dog was the only survivor. From observation, you would notice that the 2 men being led out of the garage by the uniformed police officers were the same 2 men who had entered earlier carrying submachine guns. So what was going on? It has been universally accepted that it was a hit by Al Capone's organization vying for power in a protracted turf war between the 2 gangs. The police investigation also concluded that the 2 uniformed officers were imposters. The sole survivor of the massacre, Frank Gusenberg, a Moran gang enforcer, lay dying in hospital from 14 bullet wounds. When questioned about who did it, he replied, "No one shot me," keeping the code of silence. Not surprisingly, he passed away 3 hours later from his injuries. The actual target that day had been George Bugs Moran himself. Scarface Al Capone had been behind the death of Jaime Weiss, the previous North Side gang leader. In 1926, he was machine gunned down in the street by Al Capone's men. So it seems that history was about to repeat itself. Moran had been due for the meeting at the garage to supposedly finalize the purchase of a stolen shipment of Canadian whiskey. But he had second thoughts when he neared the garage, as he saw a police car slowly circling the block. So he decided to go with one of his henchmen to a nearby coffee shop instead, in order to figure out what to do next, and luckily escape the fate of the men inside the garage. Capone's lookouts had mistaken one of Moran's men for Moran himself because he was wearing the same type of coat he wore and was similar in height and build. This set things in motion. Moran would later comment on the massacre saying, "Only Capone kills like that." Al Capone was apparently at his home in Florida at the time of the violent crime. He would say to reporters mockingly, "The only man who kills like that is Bugs Moran." No one was convicted for the murders, and the massacre was not officially linked to Capone, but the photos of the victims shocked the nation and increased his notoriety. Over the course of the next few years, many criminals and gangsters had been linked with the murders. Even the machine guns used in the massacre were recovered, but no one was charged. For Moran, his gang activities never recovered from the St. Valentine's Day massacre and the loss of some of his top men. He faded into obscurity within a few short years as other gangs muscled in on their gambling operations, which was their main source of income after the repeal of Prohibition. Moran died from lung cancer in 1957 at the age of 63, a penniless man. Many years later in 1935, the FBI arrested a small-time criminal called Byron Bolton in a shootout. Under interrogation, he tried to turn informant and claimed he knew what happened at the St. Valentine's Day massacre, but his story was full of inconsistencies compared to the known facts. The FBI therefore took no further action, and the massacre is still classed as an unsolved crime. Subscribe for more history videos. Get Simple History, the Roaring '20s and Dirty '30s today. Hey Simple History fans, if you're looking for a better way to support the channel and help us create more epic content, consider becoming a member on our channel. Becoming a member means that for just $5 a month, you'll get these amazing perks. You'll be the first to see new episodes with early access. You can watch new episodes before anyone else with this perk. The Enlisted Badge, a custom icon that shows alongside your username in the comments section and in live chat. As a member, you'll become an influencer with member-only comments. You can communicate directly with us and help us pick the topics that we'll do next on Simple History. And remember, it's not mandatory to become a member. Our awesome videos will continue to be uploaded as usual. Thank you for letting us feed your hunger for history.